Hey guys, back on the farm. This has been several weeks since we recorded something. As you can probably tell behind me, the dirt has been filled in, the trenches have been filled. So now I kind of want to take you guys through what we've been up to, what we've been doing, the troubles we've run into, the things that we fixed. But for the most part, the system is put together. I'd say we probably have the last 10% to go, which is going to be rigging the sensors, setting up finishing the electrical, getting the troughs completely watertight, and filling in more holes. Oh, and shoveling all that mulch. So, as you can probably tell, we've already got some going through here right now. But this is one of those things where it's going to be like it's easier if it's a two-person gig. So we'll get another wheelbarrow out here. We'll just run turns and get all that in here so that we don't have to worry about the mud and the weeds and everything else. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. So first off on our grand adventure, we're going to take a look at the hydroponic channels. We've got our air tubing set up. We've got our inlet. We have our bulkhead, which we have completely covered in Flex Seal, and also around every crevice, every crack, we have plumber's putty in there, so everything is just airtight. We were getting leaks, we didn't know where from or how or why, but now we got that sorted. No leaks, I hope. So here's our air piping with our 3 air stones. We had to use a Gorilla tape to hold them down to the base. Otherwise, when the air would run through them, they would float. So you can see that we've got tape here on one air stone, tape on the other, because if we put one here, the middle one would just rise up to the top and bubble. We want everything under the water so that when the rafts are sitting here, there's no problems. You can see we have our other bulkheads. Those are also completely covered head to toe. This black stuff you see, we are actually running Flex Seal down the corners, the black corners there, and we're going to use more Gorilla tape to tape everything up so that there's no cracks anywhere. I don't think we got any leaks out of this trough here because the way that we folded the bladder over on the inside, there shouldn't be any leaks, but we just like to be sure. I couldn't drain all of this just yet, so this is kind of like the before stage. So I've got a Flex Seal in those corners over there. This guy was the one that was causing us trouble. There was a cut, I can't show you now, on the inside. This was cut and it kind of ran down the length here. So the water rose up, it would flood inside of this little crevice and then it would flow out of that crack. So we had water pooling over here, we didn't know why, until I lifted the tarp up to see, and that's what we found. So that's one mystery solved. Thankfully it's an easy fix. We just taped those pieces back together again, and then we're going to also Flex Seal and tape the quarters there too. So hopefully that wraps everything up with that. The troughs have probably been our biggest headache to date because of the leaking. So first it was like leaking with any amount of water in there, and then we got that fixed, and then it was leaking when there was a lot of water in there and we couldn't figure that out, and then we got that fixed. So it's man, I think next time we do this, what we're going to do is we're going to buy pre-made troughs that are elevated. One of the reasons why is because we have a slope here, so water fills up really high on that side and is really low on this side. We didn't think it was going to be that noticeable, but once we got it built and put everything together and then ran the water through it, you can tell that it wasn't a good idea. So you can see the water, no water here, and there's probably about 3 inches of water over there. So this thing, when it fills up enough to reach the drain, to the height of the drain, it's like almost like all the way to the top. So to compensate for that, what we're probably going to do is we're going to grow our more nutrient heavy plants on this side. So like tomatoes, peppers, anything that flowers or needs a lot of nutrients. The water's going to be really deep over there. I think these center blocks are 8 by 8 by 16, so it's going to be almost 16 inches of water versus the original spec, which we had it set for 10 to 12. So this side will probably have the lettuce and those fast growing plants, and on this side we'll have the heavy feeders. So let's go inside here. You see our sump is buried. You can see how I attached the lid. I have these brackets that I have screwed onto the original thing here. So this fits nicely in here. Sandwiches in there. You can see our pumps are hooked up. So now I gotta get this thing refixed. There we go. Here's the degassing chamber. We haven't put anything in there yet. We're gonna put our coldness media in there once we get it like the standpipe the height we want it. Right now it's just kind of cut like loose, but we're gonna go ahead and put something in there, and we're gonna put covers on all the drains so that the coldness media doesn't float back into the system. And here's our bioreactors where our bird netting is going to be. Here, I don't think I showed you guys this, but there are our baffles we've installed to redirect solid waste down to the cone at the bottom. We used uniseals here. I think these are 1/2-inch PVC pipes, so we use 1/2-inch uniseals, just ran them through the uniseals, put a cap on the end, and that's how we fix them to the inside of the container. And then we just use zip ties to tie them to the PVC pipe. The material we used is this kind of corrugated poly material. It's really cheap. Yeah, it says fluted polypropylene plastic cardboard. It's pretty cheap, but it's pretty flimsy by itself, so we built a skeleton and then just ran the skeleton through the container. And of course I did the same thing here, the brackets to hold it in place. We're going to try to use some kind of gate material to create more of a circular shape on the container so that we can fit the lids on better. But for now, this is kind of the best that we can do right now. It bulges with the water. That's a big problem. So here are our fish tanks. Here's our standpipe. We're going to want to go with SLO pipes. So we're going to have, well, actually we had a prototype, it didn't work. So you can see we have these bigger pipes and we have little teeth cut out on the bottom. And the concept, here, I'm going to come over here so you can see an empty container. This one has some stuff drying in it. But the concept is that the larger pipe goes over the smaller standpipe, and the little gaps underneath create a kind of suction. The pipe extends over the top of the water, so the water is sucked through that tiny gap in the SLO pipe into the drain. So the water will drain through there, take any of the fish waste out. Originally, when we were doing this, I think the way the design was structured was the water height was going to be determined by the outlet on these, but we buried them, which wasn't necessary. If we had done it originally, I think we would have had these coming out of the ground with the near the top of the container about here on there. So I mean, yeah, maybe another foot out of the ground would have been preferable, but we ended up with that. So what we're gonna have to do now, of course, is now we have standpipes in here, because otherwise the water level will sink down to about right there, which isn't enough, obviously. So yeah, these SLO pipes were just a little too small. These are a 4-inch hollow walled PVC, and these are 3-inch standpipes. But the connector we have there at the bottom to hook up to the base, unfortunately, creates too small of a gap between the inside of the tubing here and the outside of the tubing here. So it just ends up causing the water level to rise. So we're going to get probably 6-inch pipe and cut really thin teeth at the bottom, so it creates enough suction down there to get the water out, or get the waste out and the water. You can see all our air stones down there. We used originally a plumber's putty, but it doesn't react well underwater, so we used Flex Seal to cover it. And that creates a really nice rubberized seal. So thanks, Phil Swift. Appreciate it. So, but one thing we did that isn't, I mean, if this isn't part of your project, no big deal, but we installed electrical all through here. There's no power out here. We needed to power the pumps and the air blowers. You can see here, this is this little guy right here. Actually, let me take this out. So this is the on-off switch for the pumps. This runs all the way out to that box out there. We're gonna have to probably modify the box because the two plugs that you have to use to run the pump that had the float valve attached to it, it sticks out too far from the box for it to close, and we want to keep that box closed at all times, and then weatherproof it. So let's go check out our air blowers. All right, here we go. Here are our blowers. We're gonna have to replace this little guy. He doesn't give out enough air pressure to reach the channels and put all the air stones to fully aerate them. So this is about 35 feet away. Originally we had spec'd for everything to be closer, for all these components to fit within this little gated area, but we kind of misjudged the size, so everything is further away. So it puts out a lot of air, but not enough to run all the air stones at once. This guy, however, this WW80 whitewater blower definitely works on all of the fish tanks. In fact, I'm going to show you guys just to give you an idea. Also, if you ever install blowers, they're really loud. So I would keep them at a place that is kind of out of earshot, or at least that's contained. So let's go ahead and get this guy plugged in. You're going to hear it wind up. See? All right. So there you go. Got all our air stones going. These guys are definitely filling it with air. So I like that. What I want to do though later is definitely lower the water level so I can see just to make sure everything is engaging properly. Make sure there's no holes in the pipes where water is escaping. Because like I can't really see them over here. This one kind of makes me worry a little bit, but never mind. There's an air stone over there, but I can't really see through the kind of opaque water. So I'd like to have the water level a little bit lower so that I can tell that everything's everything's kosher. But yeah, we have the tubing running out of the shed here. We buried some of it, but you can still see it here. And we have everything on valves so you can modulate the flow. We should use valves consistently. So let's turn this off. It's so loud. Whew. Wow. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. So you basically seen how everything is working, how it's running, what our challenges remain to be done, and how far we've come. This project has been going since, God, I want to say August or October. If I look back at the footage, I'm sure I'll see. I haven't done any editing at this point, so if you're watching this now, you have seen everything that we've done up until now, and everything for me is just a memory. Oh, one last thing that we're gonna try to attempt to do, or figure out how we're gonna do it, is a refill tank that will be automatic. So we want to have a tank that automatically detects if the water level is too low. And if it is, it will pump more water back into the system so that we don't have to constantly monitor the water levels visually. We also have to install our feeder, the fish feeder. That's gonna be automatic. Everything out here is basically gonna be done without any need for physically being present on site. We want this as low maintenance as possible for the teachers out here, the kids. And most components will be hooked up to sensors so that we can monitor what's going on when we're off site. If there is a problem, we can go ahead and remotely engage some things like our backup pump, for example, if it fails, or if we detect a failure in the blowers, we'll probably get a car battery, hook them up to as a backup, because those are, if you lose the air stones, you can almost kill your entire fish population. So we definitely don't want that to happen. It's very expensive to get fish, very expensive to raise them and feed them, and we want to sell them. So dead fish do not make good sales. So yeah, next time you come out here, guys, hopefully we'll have these finish being sealed up. We're gonna have the channels drained. We're gonna have them cleaned out. That's a big thing. We're going to clean all the mud out, all the debris. Mother Nature does like to drop stuff on us all the time. And this is a big open field, so obviously things get blown in from time to time. But yeah, I've done a little bit of shot backing already on the bottom here, but it likes just a little bit of water to get the mud out. So that will be a thing that we do. All right, guys. Well, I'll catch you in the next video, and hopefully you're impressed by what we've done. So see you around. Bye.